This helps me see practical things we can do to improve the quality of our meetings. Might you now identify some things boards should not do?
I'd be glad to, and with a guarantee. The quality of your meetings and the effectiveness of your board will improve if you stop doing these 5 things. Guaranteed. Number 1, boards must not spend quality time doing staff work. Remember lesson 1, the big X? Boards that fail to distinguish governance from management do 2 things wrong. First, they confuse and frustrate staff or committees to whom the function has been assigned. Second, they dissipate their energies on what is optional, leaving undone what is compulsory. They burn out. Resist the ever-present temptation to expend limited board energy on work that should be delegated to staff. Keep focused on what, that is, on what is to be done, on ends. Leave the means to staff. I remind you again, for directors to be effective, they must think and act as directors. 2, boards must not spend too much time on the past or even on the present. The board's domain is the future. The past is history, finished. You should be informed by it, but you can't live in it. The present is, well, as far as the board is concerned, it too is past. Boards can't do much about it either. Where a school board is concerned, for example, the year is underway. It will happen with or without the board. The board's energies should already be focused on the next year. This suggests that board work is about the future. Reflect a minute. Is that how you distribute your limited board time? Put it into a grid: past, present, future. What is the actual allocation of board meeting time? What should it be? Many boards allocate the first valuable hour to reporting. Now, reporting is necessary to keep directors informed, but reports should be mailed and read in advance of a meeting. Then boards commonly spend most of the remaining time in the present, which is the domain of staff. This leaves little or no time for the future. Take charge of your agenda. Reserve quality time for issues related to the future. Remember, the board's domain is the future. When does your board have time to dream? When, to paraphrase George Bernard Shaw, do you dream things that never were? And ask yourself, why not? When I chaired the first Habitat board meeting, Millard Fuller asked the board to support him in a pledge to eliminate poverty housing from Sumter County. It is the home of Habitat, Jimmy Carter, and some thousands of very poor sharecropping farmers. His bold challenge threw the board into shock. When it recovered, it gave its reluctant but qualified approval. Fuller's challenge was a leap of vision and faith that energized Habitat to do what it would not otherwise have done. Keep focused on the future. It is the board's domain. Number 3, boards must not avoid or ignore problems or sweep them under the rug. When a problem emerges, do not push it to the edges, pretending that it does not exist. Own it. It is an opportunity to become strong in your weak places. Some directors have the shallow notion that board service is honorary, not serious work, a cause to which they lend their name for letterhead purposes, where they receive bouquets without thorns. Not so. Effective board service is hard work. It involves wrestling with tough problems. It involves walking through dark valleys of uncertainty. Sometimes it involves unfair criticism and sleepless nights. Board service involves taking risks. Most directors are in real life risk takers, entrepreneurs. Let an opportunity present itself and they pursue it aggressively. Put a room full of such risk takers together, seat them around a shiny board table, and what do you get? Status quo conservatives who are risk adverse. Their main common utterance is, be careful, don't do anything foolish. They forget that in the biblical account of the talents, the hero was the one who risked in exchange for an opportunity. Condemnation was heaped on the one who buried his talent for fear of losing it. Board service is for the hale and hearty, for those brave souls who are ready to find solutions to difficult problems, who are ready to take a calculated risk for a worthy cause. Number 4, boards should not violate the doctrine of completed staff and committee work.
You'll have to explain that to me. What do you mean by the doctrine of completed staff and committee work?
Most issues, when you stop to think about it, come to a board through staff. Staff must continually decide if a decision is within its authority or if it should be presented to the board, and if so, how. It is not enough to identify a problem and throw it on the board table expecting a wise solution. I like a quote I saw in Bogota, Colombia. No presenta de problemas, soluciones. Good decisions are not based on luck or hunches. Good decisions are based on careful study and analysis summarized in proposal form. The probing discernment needed to precede wise decision-making seldom happens in the hurried atmosphere of a board meeting. It is unrealistic to expect that within the space of a few hours, if that, a board can comprehend an issue, understand all the relationships and resulting consequences, and arrive at a well-reasoned conclusion. Everything, I am fond of saying, should be pre-cooked. If someone, staff or committee member, serves you raw meat, send it back to the kitchen. This means, in a practical sense, that issues are studied in advance and presented to the board in proposal form. A proposal ready for board action consists of a paragraph that states the challenge or problem being addressed. It then recommends a solution, complete with budgetary and staffing implications. Finally, it states the anticipated outcome. Rarely should a proposal exceed 1 page in length, although details may be attached additionally. Boards must learn how to process a proposal. They should not approve it superficially, nor should they proceed to tear it apart paragraph by paragraph, disregarding the work that brought it to them. Directors should resist the temptation to do wordsmithing, thinking they are adding value when the end result may or may not be an improvement. This is when meetings get long and patience short. The really good board evaluates the merits of a well-thought-through proposal and arrives at one of the following 4 options within a reasonable time frame. 1, it may adopt the recommendation and read it right into the minutes, a coup for the writer. 2, it may reject the recommendation. Sorry, nice try. 3, it may alter the recommendation, either substantively or editorially. Or it may table it and ask that it be brought to the next meeting with some additional information or processing. Proposal writers should not be too emotionally tied to their recommendation. A board has the right, indeed it has an obligation, to look critically at what it is being asked to approve. The board must own what it adopts, and that may involve making changes. Boards that practice the doctrine of completed staff and committee work have shorter meetings with a greater sense of accomplishment. They make better decisions. Processing decisions this way strengthens the partnership between board and staff. This brings us to my 5th suggestion. Boards should not fail to be joyful. Serving on a board can be a wonderful experience, even fun. This is not to suggest that every minute of every meeting will be fun. Getting a diverse group to agree on a complex issue can be challenging. Sometimes the hours are long and the criticism unfair. Like everything else, board service has its ups and downs. But board service can be very satisfying. It permits us to become acquainted with people we might hardly greet if we met them elsewhere. It gives us insight into how others think, how they analyze problems or opportunities. A boardroom can be a classroom. Some of my most valued friendships were made in the boardroom. Boards sometimes get bogged down in problems and controversies that rob them of all joy. There will be shortfalls of finance or staff. There will be resignations, and yes, there will be frustrating meetings. Instead of a happy atmosphere, it becomes glum, tense, heavy. This should not be, and it isn't necessary, nor is it good. Happy boards do better work. Don't allow problems to rob you of the genuine satisfaction that can be part of a healthy board experience.